Hi, Odine. Welcome. Thank you for joining this live.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
you're welcome. So today we are, well, as you know, my channel is about faith, food, fun, and everything in between. And today we're going to focus on the faith aspect.
So not the
So
food.
not the food,
Okay.
not the food today. So it's been a desire of mine. Is this messaging? To read the Bible. So I started last year. I have completed a couple of books. The last book I completed was Joshua. So now we're on to Judges, and today we're actually going to go through Judges 1 through to 6. I hope it's fun and interesting. I hope some persons join the live and actually learn something from it. But if not, we can talk about it and probably someone will watch it later on when the video is posted. Because, these videos go on YouTube and they're there for infinity. So, yeah.
Yes, we praise God.
So, would you like to introduce yourself to the live audience and tell the people a little bit about you?
All right. So my name is Odin. Um, you know, um, I've been a Seventh Adventist for many years. I was a missionary at one point. Um, um, I did my mission in Asia, um, a few countries over there, and currently residing in the United States. So, one thing about me is that I love Bible study. I love to talk about the Bible. And yeah, I love to tell people about Jesus and his soon coming.
Amen. So, that's awesome. We love to hear that.
And, just checking, how is my audio levels? Is that okay?
Well, I'm hearing you. So, yeah, I think the live should be hearing you as well. So yeah, so we're just going to dive into our study. I know that it can be difficult to just start reading a particular book of the Bible
Mhm.
without context. So what I will ask you to do, Odine, is to pretty much give the context to Judges 1 to 6, um, so that persons who are joining can just get a brief understanding of, you know, the book, what it's about, and the context, what was happening during that time.
All
So
right.
just a brief context, nothing major. Mhm.
All right. So Judges
Hi, Kimberly.
Judges is a book that looks at the history of Israel through the period of the judges. So this is before the kings. This was after they had um, come to Canaan and they were settling in and forming their society, right? And so um, the the leadership of Israel wasn't um, centralized into an authoritarian power yet. Um, you know, Scholars theorize that the book of Judges was written by Samuel, right?
Okay.
Um, who, as we
So
know,
so hold on, Odin. So Kimberly's asking us, what are we talking about? She just jumped onto the live. So could you tell her quickly what we're talking about?
all right, so we're looking at the book of Judges, and today we're going to be doing chapters 1 through 6, right? And so I was just giving a brief backstory um, into the book of Judges, when it was written, the period that it covers, right? And then we're going to go into the reading of the book of Judges. So I hope you'll stick around, and I hope that you'll find some um, precious pearls, as we go through the book of Judges. Right. Right. So I was saying, scholars theorize that the book of Judges was written by Samuel, right? And so we're going to see a few things in Judges. We're going to see, um, you know, what happens when the judges are righteous. We're going to see um, how the children of Israel react. What you know what it's still they're still in the first part of the book of Judges. They're still trying to settle into Canaan, right? and so they still have Canaanites living on the land, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to look at how they approach that as well, right? So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Right?
All
I hope
right, let's dive in. Well, I'm excited. I like reading the Bible, so I find this interesting and fun. So let's talk about Judges 1. And in my Bible, it says Israel's battle in Canaan. So, what was Judges 1 really about?
all right. So Judges 1 is about the continuing conquest in Canaan, right? So
Hmm.
in Joshua, um, okay, all right,
Okay,
Kimberly,
no problem.
all right, and GGLU YouTube, hi, just your presence. All right, so in Joshua they had started to conquer the land, right? They started to you know take over the parts of the land that was promised to them, but they hadn't finished. And so Judges, in the first part of Judges, we meet them continuing the conquest, right? So in Judges chapter 1, verse 1, it says, "Now after the death of Joshua." So Judges chapter 1, verse 1 takes place after Joshua's death, right? It says, "Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, Who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. And Judah said unto Simeon his brother, Come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites, and I likewise will go with thee into thy lot. So Simeon went with him." All right, so I'm going to pause there, right? Because just want to to go over something. So it says that Judah was called upon first, right? And then he asked Simeon to go with him. Now, I just want to point out that this isn't the actual Judah, because Judah would have been long dead, right? So when it says Judah, it's talking about the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Simeon, right? Which would be the descendants, right? So it says, "And Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and they slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men. And they found Adoni Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites. But Adoni Bezek fled, and they pursued after him and caught him, and cut off his thumbs and his great toes."
I want to pause though, Odine, and ask you a question for those of our viewers who aren't Christians, who don't have any context, who don't know what we're talking about, who probably just now for the first time heard about the book of Judges in the Bible. So we're talking about Israel's battle in Canaan. So my question to you is this: why were they fighting and where are they going? And one of this, I think it says in chapter 2 that the Lord delivered the land into the hand of Judah. So
Mhm.
which land is it that we're talking about?
All right, so um, we're talking about the land of Canaan, right? And Canaan is currently what we refer to as Israel, modern day Israel, right? So the land had been promised to the Israelites before. In fact, if you go all the way back to Jacob, Jacob actually lived in Canaan before, right? And when you meet that story about Joseph and his brothers, they had traveled from Canaan to Egypt to get grain, right?
Correct. Right.
So the land had historically been promised to them um, as the promised land. And so they had, after sojourning in the wilderness for 40 years, they had now come into Canaan, and they were supposed to conquer the land and to remove the Canaanites. And a part of the process, a part of the reason why this was happening was because they were the ones who were supposed to execute God's judgment on the Canaanites. The Canaanites had been judged, right? And they had been found to be a race that had rejected God. And so God was using the Israelites to exact his judgment on the Canaanites, right? And so they were supposed to remove them from the land and to inherit the land. And so Um, and in the book of Joshua, we find that they started the process, but they didn't complete it, right? And then, but they had taken over significant parts of the land. And so, oh, also in the book of Joshua, they had been assigned specific areas in the land as well, right? So Judah would have been assigned a specific area. Simeon would have been assigned a specific area. Benjamin would have been assigned a specific area. Each tribe was assigned a specific area. So when it says that Judah went up and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and this and all of that, it means that they would have taken over the section of the land that was assigned to them, right? But having done so, the other tribes still needed to do their part in removing um, the Canaanites from the sections that were promised to them. And so we're going to
So,
see. Um,
so essentially, you had people living in these areas that the Israelite needed to conquer, right? There
right,
were people inhabiting those lands.
right.
And so this book of Judges now, well, 1 to 6, we're seeing where, as time goes by, they're driving out these people from
Right, and right,
the land.
and so as again, these are different areas within the land of Canaan, right,
Okay. Okay.
right.
I think
So
we can
hmm,
probably jump to chapter 2.
chapter 2,
Yeah.
okay, all right, all right. So chapter 2 covers Israel's disobedience, right, and they okay. Chapter 2 covers a number of topics. It covers Israel's disobedience. It covers the death of Joshua, right?
The
Um,
wickedness of Israel,
right. So
the
Israel's
death of Josh,
unfaithfulness
right after
and
Joshua.
the raising up of judges, right?
Okay.
So in chapter 2, that's what is covered in Judges chapter 2. So it starts out by saying, and an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and I brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers, and said, I will never break my covenant with you. All right, bye, Kimberly. I'm glad you're able to join us. I hope you can come back
Bye,
and watch the
Kimberly.
rest at some
See you
time.
next time.
Right,
All right.
right. Um, right. So he says that I swear unto your father, and I said, I will never break my covenant with you. And he
Mm-hmm.
shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall
True.
throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? So God is asking a question here through his angel. He's saying that, listen, when I promise you the land, you weren't supposed to, make any alliances with the people that were living here. You're not supposed to befriend them. You're supposed to just take over the land, remove them from it, right?
But they
But
didn't. They
and
didn't
you're,
do
you're
that.
supposed to remove their altars and um, any remnants of their false worship. But as you mentioned, they didn't do that.
And this, for me, this is pretty much a rebuke,
It
to
is
them,
a
because God,
rebuke,
God is like, I told you to do this.
yeah.
Why didn't you do it? And then verse 3, it says, Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your side, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. So because they didn't listen to God or his instruction, he's saying to them, this is what is going to happen to you.
Right. So the very thing that you were supposed to do is going to become a burden to you. It's not going to. I'm not going to help you to remove it. You didn't remove it, so it's going to stay there and it's going to be a problem. Right. Hi, Denise.
Oh, Danique, hi. Right. So it kind of just, I don't know, when I read this, Odin, I'm like, it's so important to listen to God and what he says, because at the end of the day, at the beginning and the end, he has your best interest at heart.
That is
So
true. That is so
when God said to them, drive them out completely, destroy their altars, destroy their gods, he's not saying it just for himself, but
true.
he's also saying it for your sake, because as you see right here, they're going to become thorns in the
Hmm.
sides of the Israelites.
Right. Right. And just Danny, just to give you a just to catch you up, we're looking at the book of Judges, so we're at chapter 2 now. Right? Right. So um verse 4 it says, and it came to pass um when the angel
When
of
the
the Lord
angel.
spake these words unto the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept, and they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto the Lord. Right. So this is the part now where they're supposed to, again, I mentioned earlier that the land was divided up into different segments, and each tribe had a different section that they were supposed to go. So when Joshua was alive, they all resided around the area. Um, they all encamped around the area where Joshua was, right? But after
Mm-hmm.
Joshua died, it says in verse 6, when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man unto his inheritance to possess the land. And the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua, all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of the Lord that he did for Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath in the mount of Ephraim on the north side of the hill of Gash. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel.
We have to pause right there. So,
Definitely.
yeah, we have to pause right here. I guess my question to you would be, how is it that what do you think is the reason for another generation arising, and according to the Bible, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel? How does that happen? And how does that happen after Joshua and like all of these great men? How does that happen?
All right, so you know what? The Bible specifically mentions that while Joshua was alive, right, Israel remained faithful to God. So they served God diligently while he was alive. And then it says that all the people of that generation died. And then the new generation that came after them, they didn't serve, they knew not God, they didn't serve him. That tells me that even though they were faithful to God, um, they weren't diligent in being faithful. Let me explain that to you. In Deuteronomy, right, um, Moses gives the children of Israel um, over 600 commandments, right? And those were separate from the Ten Commandments. But in as a part of those commandments, it's basically giving you a breakdown somewhat of some of the commandments. And one of those was that um, parents was parents were supposed to teach the children
Okay.
about God. Right? So they're supposed to teach the children about God, teach the children how to worship God and to revere the things of God. Right? And there were conditions that would follow them if they did not do that. Right? And so um, when we come up on a text like this, that another generation, which was the next generation in line, not two generations down, the very next generation in line, what it tells me is that the parents were concerned about themselves worshiping God, but they were not so concerned about their children having a fear and knowledge of God. And
So
so they
would it
just
be would it be
passed
fair
on.
then? Would it be fair to say that they did not teach their children
It is.
about the fear of God?
That is the conclusion that we must draw. They weren't teaching their children about the fear and the reverence of God, right? And so you find that the next generation came up who didn't know God. They didn't know how to worship Him. They didn't know if He was a God that could be a God for them, right? In their minds, the God that their parents served was their parents' God. He wasn't a personal God, right?
Hmm.
And so you find that because they didn't know God, it led them into being unfaithful, right? And so in verse 11, it says, "And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim," right? "And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods of the gods of the people that were round about them." Who were the people round about them? Who were the people round about them?
These are the people that they're supposed to drive out.
Exactly, the Canaanites,
Yeah,
right?
right. These are the people that are supposed to drive out of the land.
Right,
So
right, right.
it's so sad that not only did they not drive them out, they're now worshiping
Worshiping
their
with them,
gods.
right? Yeah.
And I mean, this jumps out at me because as followers of Christ, we are supposed to be distinct.
Mm-hmm,
We aren't supposed to follow the ways of the world. Jesus calls us to be separate.
mm-hmm,
And right here, you can see that the children of Israel did not want to be distinct. They didn't want to be separate. They just wanted to blend in. And so they
mm-hmm,
blend in and they started serving other gods.
mm-hmm. And it's sad because it leads God to be angry with them,
Hmm.
right? And that's the end of verse 12.
12,
And so,
right?
these are the consequences of, you know, chapter 2 starts out by God saying that, listen, you were supposed to drive out these people and you didn't. And so I'm going to let them become a thorn to you, and you're going to end up worshiping their gods. And here, not even um not even the next chapter, the same chapter, you find that they're already engaged in the worship of the gods of these people that they were supposed to have distanced themselves from, right?
Yeah. And a theme that I realized.
Hey, cool
Hi,
kid.
cool kid. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about Judges 1 through to 6. I was saying, Odin, that something that I realized in the theme of Judges, certainly Judges 1 to 6, is that over and over is like you're seeing a pattern.
Mm-hmm,
And um the first time I saw it was in Judges 2, Judges 2 verses 11. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim. So throughout the course of Judges, you're going to see the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. The children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord over
and
and over again. However, I'm going to jump down to one of the verses 16.
mm-hmm,
It was like a pattern. They did evil. God was displeased. But God is so merciful and loving that what he did was to raise up persons who would steer them back to him. And we
right,
see that happening in verse 16.
right. And you know what? Ruth, I want you to hold on to this, to that point about the children of Israel doing evil in the sight of the Lord, because when we start to study Kings, it's going to come up again, and you're going to see another aspect of that pattern um, unfolding. So hold on to that for now. But we are at verse 16, right? Um, we're at verse 16. Okay. Wait, before we get to verse 16, let's kind of summarize verse 13 to 15. So God is angry with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he allows them to be raided by people who want to do evil to them. So it says in verse 14 that he delivers them into the hands of the spoilers and to the enemies, right? And wherever they went, the Lord punished them, and so it became a thing where they were experiencing no peace. They were under constant persecution, under constant threat of being taken over, right? And they lived in perpetual fear, right? But God, being a just God, decides that He's going to give them another chance. He's going to reintroduce Himself to them. I see a burning zeal, so I'm going to tell you to come in right now.
So you said something, you're like, they were in a perpetual state of
Fear.
fear and something else.
Forgive.
Okay, perpetual state of fear. And if this was because they did not listen to the Lord. So I'm wondering
Hmm.
if we can apply that to us right now, like, like transpose that lesson to our lives right now. When we don't follow the Lord, we're going to be in a perpetual state of distress, fear, anxiety, all of these things.
Mm.
So that's an object lesson for me from that.
All right.
Yes.
And that's a good one. That's a good one. Right. So it says that so God in verse 16 is when God decides that he wants to reintroduce himself to this new generation, right? So they distanced themselves from him because they didn't know him. That's how it started out. And God says, essentially, because you don't know me, because you have decided, because you have said you don't know me, I want to introduce myself to you, right? Hi, I'm God, right? And so he goes in verse 16, he says, the Lord raised up judges which
Which
delivered them
delivered them
out
out
of
of
the
the
hand
hand of
of
those
those
that
that
spoil
spoil
them.
them.
Is that where the book Judges got its name from? Just wondering. But I mean, it would make sense. Judges, we're reading the book of Judges, and pretty much that's what the judges did. They
Yes,
pretty much directed the people back to God.
generally, yes, that's what they did. And chapter 2 serves as a summary. Just to point out, chapter 2 serves as a summary of the book of Judges, because as we go on into the book, we're going to start meeting the actual judges. So chapter 2 basically tells us why they had a need for the judges. So the need for the judges was because after the death of Joshua, the children were basically there was a power vacuum essentially, and the children of Israel were
Turn
just
back.
doing their own thing,
Right.
right? And it caused them to stray and to worship false gods. And then, um, God introduced them to judges, and the judges were the ones who would deliver them from the persecution was taking place. He would The judges would also redirect them back to God to remind them that, listen, your father served this God, your your forefathers served this God. This God has been continuously good to those people, and He will be good to you as well. And so those judges always directed them back to God. You know.
And then, as you say, chapter 2 is really a summary of the book of Judges.
Hmm.
Chapter 19 kind of gives us insight of the pattern that we see happening throughout the book.
Well, chapter 18 and 19.
And 19, yeah.
Right, because let's read it. So chapter
Hmm.
18 says, and when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. Right? For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass when the judge was dead that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following after gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings nor from their stubborn way. So, as you mentioned, Zayde, there was a pattern where God would raise them up a judge. The judge would deliver them out of the hand of whoever was oppressing them at the time, and they would be happy and they would serve God all the days of that judge. And then, as soon as that judge died, they would go back, right back to doing evil. And not only were they doing evil, they were doing more evil than their fathers were doing. So it's like, all right, well, you can do that. I'm going to one up you, right? And so that's what they were doing. And so it became a pattern, and it was a pattern, a downward spiraling pattern, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, right? And whenever that happened, God would become angry, and when God became angry, He would he would allow the oppressors to come in, not send them, but He would allow the oppressors to come in,
Allow.
because what He would do was remove his protection from them, right, and allow them to be protected by their own, wise, right? And so, chapter 20 says, verse 20 says, and the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their father, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove Israel whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein as their fathers did keep it not. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them on into the hand of Joshua. So um, verse 20 to 23 is actually a repeat of the start of the book of Judges, where it talks about God not removing the enemies and allowing them to be a thorn. It's actually just reinforcing it here, right?
Yeah.
And this is a term that I like to introduce here. It's called a kayakism, where the Bible uses that literary device a lot, where it does A B C B A. So C is really like the top of a pyramid, and so it kind of draws like a triangle, and so
Mm-hmm.
it states one point, and then it gives you the story, and then it comes down and it states the point again, just to kind of reinforce it, right? And so
Okay.
uh, that's basically what it's doing here, just reinforcing that the fact that God did not remove. God had said in the beginning that He was not going to remove them, and in the end, it's reinstating that God didn't remove them, and it also references Joshua, right? Again.
All right. So I guess we can jump into chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in chapter 3, it talks about the nations which were left to test Israel. And then we see some judges being introduced other than Joshua. So we see Othniel and Ehud. So I'm going to read from chapter 1 to 7, and then you can take it from there. So it
Okay.
says, "Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel had not known all the wars of Canaan, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least, such as before, knowing nothing thereof. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwell in the Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they were hearken to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, same people that they didn't drive out, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and they gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, second time that is being mentioned, and forgot the Lord their God, and served Baalim and the groves. Now let's talk about that, Odin. Like, didn't they just forget the Lord in Judges 2?
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that they would learn, but the same thing keeps happening again. And just as an observer, you're reading the Bible and you're thinking to yourself, these people are, they don't learn, they're not smart. But I'd like to think of it as, well, for Christians, sometimes we look at it and we have to say to ourselves that we're like them. We are disobedient to God, and sometimes we repeat old patterns, unfortunately. Um, but as Judges 2 said, that God did not leave them to themselves, but he raised up judges. And so in verse 8, Othniel comes into the picture. So
Mm.
you can go ahead and introduce Othniel, Nadine.
All right, all right, all right. Um, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot the Lord their God and served Baalim and the groves. Therefore, the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the land of um, Chus, Chusan and Rithathaim. A long word. right?
That's a
Um,
big word.
king of Mesopotamia, and the children of the Israel
That
served
place.
that place 8 years. and when the children when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer in the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out and to war. And the Lord delivered that place, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand, and his hand prevailed against that guy. and the land had rest 40 years, and Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. Right?
Okay.
So that was the first judge. Right? All right, so the second judge we're going to come upon is Ehud. All right. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel. Hold on, let me see. First reference. Mm-hmm. All right. So remember this word. So he gathered unto the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed a city of palm trees. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Jerah, a Benjamite. Remember that? Ehud was
So
a
that's
Benjamite.
and I guess we'll talk about the significance of being a Benjamite or one
Yes.
of the traits of being a
There's
Benjamite
several
later on.
significances, and we're gonna mention it. So,
Hmm.
a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made a dagger which had two edges and a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab. And Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. He said, Keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came from him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he rose out of his seat, and he put forth his left hand, and took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that it could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out. Then Ehud
What
went forth. Yeah.
content? When you finish, I'll ask because I have a question.
Okay. Then Ehud went forth through the porch, and shut the doors of the parlor upon him, and locked them. When he was gone out, his servants came, and when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlors were locked, they said, Surely he covered his feet in his summer chamber. And they tarried till they were ashamed. And behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took a key and opened them, and behold, their Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. And Ehud escaped while they tarried, and passed behind the quarries, and escaped unto Seirath. And it came to pass when he was come, that he blew his trumpet in the mountains of Ephraim, and the children went down with him from the mount, and he before them. And he said unto them, Follow after me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him, and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass. And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty, all men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land rested fourscore years. All right. And that was Ehud. So you said you wanted to say something?
So for the persons who are following in verse 22, it says, and the dirt came out after he stabbed him in the belly. So I was just wondering, what is dirt doing in his belly? Can you enlighten us?
Not literal dirt, but it's well, the
Okay.
he
The
stabbed
waist?
him in the belly, and the waist came out,
Oh,
and
okay.
yes, from his belly.
So that's sort of benefit of the persons who probably didn't know what that meant. All right, so that was Ehud.
Wait, but I just wanted to point out though that it mentioned here that Ehud was a Benjamite, right?
Hmm.
And the king of Moab entreated um, Amalek and Ammon to be a part of his army as well, right? And this is interesting because that these encounters between the descendants of Amalek and Ammon of Amalek and the Benjamites have far-reaching effects, right? If this is not the last, then it is definitely the first interaction between Amalek and Benjamin that you'll see, because in the book of Esther, um, Haman was
Hmm.
um, was a descendant of the Amalekites,
Oh,
right?
I did not remember that.
And one of the reasons why he hated Esther's uncle Mordecai so much was because Esther's uncle Mordecai was a Benjamite. And so they had a personal the Amalekites and the Benjamites had a personal growth against each other, right? And so this is one of the first interactions you'll see between the Amalekites and the Benjamites. Even though it doesn't make the connection, it doesn't make the direct connection here. You can see that the Amalekites were fighting alongside the Moabites in this battle. And so the defeat of the Moabites would have also meant the defeat of the Amalekites, right?
Okay. So that was Ehud, and there is a mention of another judge, Shadmar,
Shamgar. Shamgar.
Shamgar. So after Ehud, verse 31 says, and after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. Him sounds strong, man. An ox goad?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
it? That's all you use and kill 600 man?
I don't know what the ox code is. What is the ox code, Zadie?
I let me go check Google. Let me go check Google for that right now. But it sounds like when I saw it, it just seemed like it reminded me of Samsung. Samsung. What did Samsung kill people with?
Donkey
Oxgood.
jawbone.
Right. So it sounded to me like a piece of bone.
Okay, so it wasn't actually a piece of a bone.
It
It's
was a
it's
stick.
an it's an ancient farming tool used to prod or guide oxen while they pull or pull a cart. So it's basically a stick that
Yeah,
he
it's a
used
stick.
to kill how many men?
600 men.
600 men.
Oh,
Wow.
it says it also featured a sharp metal tip on one end. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's a stick with a sharp end, and he used it to kill 600 men.
I
But I
mean,
suppose when the Lord is with you, you can, perform mighty acts. So the Lord was with Shamgar, and he was able to deliver Israel from the Philistines there. So we can jump into verse 4 now.
uh, um, verse 4, chapter 4, I should say. Deborah and Barak. All right. So,
This one is
first,
interesting.
yeah, this one is quite interesting. All right, so it says here, and the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. What? How
And
could they?
let me just add, this is the fourth time in 4 chapters that the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the
How could they? Shame. Shame on them. says, and the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, and reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. You know what? I feel like you should read this one, because this one is a woman empowerment
It
chapter,
involves a woman. I was thinking that. All right, cool. Where are we?
Chapter 3, verse 3.
Okay. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron. Who are we talking about? Sisera?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it King? Yeah. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at the time. So women were judges too.
Women were indeed judges too.
So women can be used by the Lord. I just want to point that out right there for those persons who believe that women cannot be used by the Lord. Judges 4 verses 4 says that, and Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at the time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah. Is that where she got her name from? Or does she have another name?
Maybe she owned the palm tree. I don't know.
Okay. All right, fine. Let's look at it that way. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kedesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali, and of the children of Zebulun? So she was asking him a question. And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. So, what I'm getting from this is that not only was to do, but Barak was also told what to do. And I don't know what happened here. And he just did not go. So Deborah had to go to Barak to tell him, say, hey, didn't the Lord tell you this? All right, let me see if I can add my guest again.
Okay. So you were still here the whole time?
Yeah, man, I was here.
Hmm.
All right, so I was saying that what I'm seeing happening here is that it seems to me, based on reading verses 3 to 7, that God had told Barak what to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems as if he was being stubborn and he did not do it. So here comes Deborah, the prophet, because God is going to talk to his prophet. And so she called for Barak, and she's basically asking him the question, didn't God tell you to do this? So his response to her is found in verse 8, and he
Mm-hmm.
says, And Barak said unto her, If thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So he was like, I can't go if you don't go, you know. Yeah, you are the one that give me the strength to go. If you
Well, I mean,
is that how you like your man? Like,
I was
dependent?
about to say men, like Man, like,
Yeah.
what's up, man? Like, Barak should have stepped up from God called him, but he didn't. So God had to speak to a woman, and we see it here. Anyways, um, Deborah said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor. For the
Mhm.
Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And I think that's fitting because God tell you to do something. But to me, Barak had more faith in Deborah than he had faith in God. That's my interpretation of this. Because he's like, if you will go with me, then I will go with you. So God already told him what to do, but he's saying, Deborah, the only way I am going to go is if you come with me. So you believed more in a woman than you believe in a God. So I feel like it's poetic and fitting for the Lord to actually give honor to a woman for this victory. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet. And Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenites, and pitched his tent unto the plain of Zanin, which is by Kadesh. And they shewed Sisera that Barak the son of Abinoam was gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the king of Kizon. So I don't know, but I guess for Barak there was some level of fear there too.
Mhm.
Because, well, now that I read it, I'm thinking there was some level of fear there. Because if this king have what 900 chariots of iron, and the Israelites, what the Israelites have,
Zero chariots.
and God tell us that, listen, man, go up against,
But they had what was that ox goad, a few ox goads.
and God tell you, a little man, to go up against that king with 900 chariots. Would you go?
I'm afraid still. I'd be afraid. I
And
ain't
so
gonna lie.
I'd be afraid too, but Barak took his fear to a different level. Barak took his fear into disobedience. Well,
Well, it, wa-
initially,
it never it didn't elevate to the point of disobedience. It
okay,
but it elevated to the point of um, it had doubt mixed in.
doubt, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it took a woman coming to him to say, aren't you gonna go for him to go? Which is, whew. But all right. Anyways, so we read verse 13. So let's move on to verse 14. And Deborah said unto Barak, up, for this is the day in which the Lord hath delivered Sisera into thy hand. Is not the Lord gone out before thee? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. And the Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his hosts with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariots and fled away on his feet. I want to pause there. Why do I want to pause there, Odin?
Well, when God is with you, your iron chariots mean nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like it says, and the Lord discomfited Sisera. What does discomfited mean? What verse 15 is saying to me is that God will send you on a journey or on a mission or to do something,
Mhm.
but it's him who will do it for you. So
Mhm.
you're not going in your strength,
Mhm.
you're going in his might. So if God send you up against 900 chariots, you best believe that you're not going to be the one who is going to mash up the chariot them. It's going to be God. And we see that right here in verse 15, right? So the Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariot and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. This
Mm.
is the man with military might. This is the man with the biggest army. This is like probably US. Let me not
Mhm.
use it. Let me.
Saying that right now.
This is like
Trying to get her.
like yeah, like a country with a big army against a little country, a little small fry, right? And and realistically, what should happen is that when when the little country faces the big country, what should happen realistically is that they should be crushed.
Mhm.
But because God is with the little country,
And
God mash up the chariots and all the weaponry of the big country. And the leaders run away. And that is what happened in verse 15. So that's an object lesson again for us that we can actually transpose into our lives, that when God is with us, it doesn't matter who is against us.
as my granny would have said, as my grandmother would say, little is much when God
When
is in
God is in it. There you go. There you go. There you go.
it.
All right. So verse 16. So right now the king is running. That's his area. The man come out in chariot and I run upon him foot or feet for those of us who are, English scholars. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles, and all the hosts of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber. So here is another woman that is introduced. So the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin and the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, that's the king who is running away, and
Mhm.
said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn into me, fear not. And when he turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. A mantle is like a sheet, like a some covering. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. After I run so fast, you know, most thirsty.
Mm.
For I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? That thou shalt say no. So he's trying to cover him head back, as we would say, because and this is strange. Like you're in the middle of a war, you're running away and you're hiding when your men are out there fighting.
Mhm.
Anyways, but he said to her that if anybody comes and asks if anybody's there, say no. And I guess she agrees. Then Jael Heber's wife took, and this is the part that is interesting, she took a nail of the tent and took a hammer in her hand and went softly unto him and smote the nail into his temples and fastened it into the ground. For he was fast asleep and weary. So he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him and said unto him, Come, and I will shew thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. So God
Mm.
subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And the hand of the Lord and the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, king of Canaan.
Mm.
So I have a few I'm just going to read one footnote that I had written in relation to this chapter, and it says, I think I said it earlier, but I'll just say to reiterate. So, wherever the Lord sends you, alone or with company, go in the power and might of God. Deborah teaches us that God will empower a woman or anyone else to do the work that others won't. If the Lord goes before you, how can you fail? And for me, that was the biggest takeaway from um, Judges 4. What was your takeaway?
Well, my takeaway is pretty similar to yours. You know, if God gives you the mission, He's going to empower you. You know what I mean? So we don't have to question um, how it's going to be done. We don't have to ask for help from anybody because
Hmm.
God is going to provide the help. If somebody else is needed to complete the mission, He's going to provide that person without question. Right?
True.
So out of doubt, we don't need to ask for assistance. We don't need to ask for company. You know, my
We don't,
grandmother
we
used to
don't,
say,
we don't need to ask for Deborah to come follow it.
my grandmother used to say, you're born alone, right? You're going to die alone. You must learn to do it alone, right? Leave the friend and company. So, that's my takeaway from it. If God gives it to you, then He's going to allow you to be able to do it. You know what I mean? And that's a promise from God.
Amen. All right, so we can jump into. Oh, I have another footnote that I want to read, and I think I said it earlier, but I just want to reiterate it. I wrote that it is always important to remember that it is God who gives the victory. So even though um, God told Barak to go and fight King of Sisera, and even though even though he said to Deborah, I'm not going unless you come with me, and even though it was Jael, um, the wife of Lapidoth that actually killed the king of Sisera, we have to remember that it is God who gives the ultimate victory. And we saw that in verse 15 when God pretty much just confused the army of Sisera. And that is when the king jumped out of him chariot and just run. So it doesn't matter how it looks. If God sends you on a mission, it can look impossible. You can be outnumbered because God specializes, in these things, in you being outnumbered and Him coming in and just claiming the victory. You can be outnumbered, but I think there's a saying that says that you and God are a majority. You and God are a majority. So if God sends you, just go with God. Hi, you're true. Your new
Oh,
Shanice. Hi, Shanice. Welcome, welcome.
hi, Treasure Mountain. Welcome to our um,
Bible study.
Bible study.
Yeah, so you want to jump into Judges 5?
All right. Let's see here at Judges 5. Okay, so we're looking at the Song of Deborah and Barak. Now, Judges 5 is a long chapter, and it's just a song that they sang
A victory song.
after
Yeah.
a victory song after Israel's enemies were defeated. And true to form, Deborah did say that a woman would be honored for the taking out of the enemy. And so in the victory song, I think that is one of the reasons why the song is highlighted, because in the victory song it highlights the victory, but it highlights the woman who brought the victory to Israel, right?
Yeah.
And so
You see that in verse
while
24.
Barak was would have been enshrined in glory, so to speak, if he was the one who had done it. he had
Mm-hmm.
to share the glory with a woman, and she actually, I think, got more honors than him. So, do we want to read through it, or do we just want to summarize it?
We don't have to read through it. But you can probably just read where Giles' name was mentioned. It says it's a song, but while I was reading it, it's different from the songs that we have. I'm being honest, it's different from the songs that we have nowadays. Yeah, I couldn't find a chorus.
I
Actually,
don't know where the
ac-
bridge is. Don't know where the
act-
chorus is. Alright.
actually, the only part that seemed to rhyme in this song was like the part that mentioned Jair, which is verses 24 and 25, because it was sort of a repetition right there, sort of. But I guess their songs back in the day were different from our songs now. Their songs were used to capture important moments. What you need a laugh?
Because
Their
it's funny.
their
Like,
songs were used to capture important moments in history, and it was less about rhyming and feeling good. It was more about accurately capturing.
I want to hear it because I want to know if it sounds good. Like, would it be on the radio?
Yeah, it would be
could it
cool if like a
could it
Brook
win a Grammy?
it would be cool if like a Brooklyn Tabernacle, looked at this particular chapter in the Bible and do a song, like curated a song from
I don't
this.
know, man. Can it win a Grammy? Will
Yeah,
it win a
so
Sterling Award? You know what I mean? I don't know. But
we don't know.
so let's just read verse 24 and 25 for this one. It says, "Blessed above women shall be Jael." And I feel like this part where it says, but this part actually, when I started reading it, it reminded me of Elizabeth's words to Mary. Right?
Blessed are you
Blessed,
among women.
yeah, right.
Hmm.
So it kind of brings back some similarities to me. But it says, "Blessed above women shall Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, be. Blessed shall she be above women in the king. He asked water and she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in a lordly dish." Right? And so that was the honor that was given to Jael. So if you're looking for a dignified name to give to your daughter, um, Jael is a good one,
Deborah
right?
is also a good one.
But Jael is blessed among women.
Yeah, Jael is blessed among women, but Deborah is a woman living up to God's standard. Deborah is also brave. She's like, God says we should go. And Barak is like, I ain't going unless you go. And she's like, okay, I'm going because I trust God. So Jael and Deborah are good names.
Are we fighting over baby names? Is that what's happening here?
No, that's not what's happening. But guess what? I don't know if I don't want to say this, but I wouldn't name my child Barak. Just
Okay.
saying. Just saying. Just saying,
That's-
So that's why like I think
okay.
Christians should just make sure that they read the entire story. Just anybody in general before you name your child,
Before you start dishing
whatever.
out names.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
So this is where we stopped, right?
All right. We actually stopped at chapter 7, but
No.
no, we stopped at chapter 6. Yeah. Chapter 6. Is that it?
No, we didn't do chapter 6 because we had said that chapter
Oh.
6 begins to talk about Gideon, the next
No.
judge, and
Oh.
then
Yeah. 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 Okay. Right. Right. Yeah. We did stop here. We did stop here. So you are correct perfectly.
Gideon is a
Yes. I,
whole story by itself. So we're
yeah.
going to be doing Gideon next. So for those of you who are still watching, we want you to join us when we do
And it's
Gideon.
gonna be interesting. It's gonna be so. You can read ahead, obviously. Yeah, I mean, but it's
Hmm.
gonna be quite a story to tell. I'm gonna put on my Uncle Dini, you know. I'm
So
joking.
just to be clear, we're going to be doing Judges 6 through to what next? Um,
We're gonna be doing Judges 6 through to 8, or
it could be Judges
no,
6 through
no,
to
no.
8.
Um, we're gonna go to 10
Okay.
to 9, 6 to 9. So
Yeah, but I feel like Gideon story ends at 8. But all right, we can do 6 through to 9 next.
okay, all right.
All right. Thank you so much for being on this live audio. We've been on for 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 25 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple people well joined us. Some of them had to leave, but I'm hoping that they were blessed, and I'm hoping that they join us when we
Next
read,
time.
yes, next time when we read the rest of the book of Judges. So until
Thank
next
you.
time, blessings to you guys. Take care and see you on the next one. Peace.
So,
All right, so I'm gonna end this now.